Tune in to Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media. Stay ahead of the curve with our cutting-edge reporting and accurate breaking news coverage.
We're having an earthquake. Oh, God.
Hear it here first on Nationwide 90 FM. Tune in, turn up the volume, and listen. We bring a mix of news, entertainment, and sports to your lives.
Nationwide 90 FM's live and continuous coverage of the World Championships in Budapest, Hungary.
News and discussions week mornings.
Coming up in the news at 6 for this morning.
Entertainment in the afternoons, then news again in the evenings.
Nationwide news at this hour, fired.
Also tune into the entertainment and sports shows in the nights and on the weekends.
It is Boy Things After Dark right here on Nationwide 90 FM.
Everything is news, from current affairs and entertainment to sports, business, and other categories.
Nationwide 90 FM. This is Beanie Man. Give it to them. Zaga, Zen.
From every whisper to every commotion.
That's rubbish.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
Interex Distributors presents the ultimate tile clearance sale. Transform your space for less. Dunrobin Plaza, 30 Dunrobin Avenue. The temperature by Interex Distributors is
30 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 29 out west in Montego Bay.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon, I'm Robianne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
In Nationwide news at this hour, Jamaica recorded 46.7 million cyber attack attempts and detected 7 million active scans last year.
Local brands left buzzing after being featured in the Jamaican leg of popular internet streamer iShowSpeed's Caribbean tour.
6 killed by the police in 6 days.
Integrity Commission requests information from the National Works Agency about its Hurricane Melissa procurement activities.
We received a letter from the Integrity Commission that says we want to look at your contracts real time.
TAJ extends deadline for manufacturers of non-alcoholic sweetened beverages to get licenses under the new special consumption tax regime.
In news from the rest of the world, Haitian Prime Minister says country's security not at level for elections.
Number of Labour MPs calling for Keir Starmer's resignation moves to 70.
In sports, its advantage, Trinidad and Tobago red force in the battle to reach regional championship final.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, head of the JCF's Area 3, ACP Christopher Phillips, says the police will be cracking down on criminals in Manchester amid a sharp increase in murders.
We're going to wage war against those who continue to try and destroy Manchester. And we are seeing signs of that.
How are stakeholders in the parish coping? We'll hear from President of the Manchester Chamber of Commerce, Michaela Rowe, Custos of Manchester Garfield Green, and Pastor of the Mandeville Circuit of Baptist Churches, Reverend Kirk Pinnock.
In the nation's business at 6:25, we'll bring you a paid rebroadcast of Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon's contribution to the NARA bill debate in the Senate on Friday.
And at 7, it's the comments section with Shalois Michael and Mahiri Stewart. This evening's question: Rude Boy Billboard, lewd or clever marketing? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio, and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide 90 FM. All these and more as we take you home on air, Nationwide 90 FM this Monday afternoon. It's Monday, May 11, 2026.
If it's news, it's got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. Jamaica recorded 46.7 million cyber attack attempts in 2025, with a further 7 million active scans detected. That's according to Fortinet's 2026 Global Threat Landscape report. The figures place the island within a broader regional picture of 325 million attempts across the English-speaking Caribbean. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
The report, compiled from FortiGuard Labs telemetry across 2025, describes a fundamental shift in how cybercrime operates. Attackers are no longer working alone. They now function like structured businesses,
using AI-powered tools to automate attacks, recruit specialist operators, and sell ready-made crime services to others with little technical knowledge. Ransomware victims reached nearly 8,000 globally. That's a 389% increase year over year. Attackers now target critical vulnerabilities within 24 to 48 hours of public disclosure, a significant reduction from the previous average of nearly 5 days. And exploitation attempts rose by more than 25%, even as less precise brute force attacks declined. Attackers are also changing what they target. Rather than simple passwords, they now see comprehensive datasets, detailed logs containing credentials, behavioral data, and contextual information that make impersonation far easier. These stealer logs account for over 67% of data traded on dark web marketplaces. Cloud environments are particularly at risk, with most breaches traced not to technical flaws, but to stolen or misused login credentials. Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
Multiple local brands were left buzzing after being featured in the Jamaican leg of popular internet streamer iShowSpeed's Caribbean tour in Kingston on Friday. During the tour, the streamer, whose live tour garnered millions of views, consumed a number of local foods while visiting locations across the city. Those businesses now say their appearance in the stream has done wonders for their products. Mahiri Stewart has that story.
iShowSpeed, a 21-year-old American internet streamer, boasts a subscriber count of over 50 million on YouTube, 4 million on Twitch, and 47 million followers on Instagram. His highly anticipated Jamaican leg of his Caribbean tour on Friday was among the most trending topics worldwide. As at May 11, the stream has amassed nearly 3.5 million views on YouTube and 1.5 million on Twitch, with persons all over the world tuning in to watch him experience Jamaican culture. Speed visited areas such as Halfway Tree and downtown Kingston, where he consumed a number of Jamaican products. One such product was Suppligen, which was given to him by a vendor. That vendor has since received a year's supply of the product by its manufacturer, the Seprod Group. Seprod's chief marketing officer, Andrew Angwin, says the publicity brought on by Suppligen's appearance couldn't have been better timed.
For sure. I mean, we're absolutely excited that we were part of that cultural experience in a very organic way, right? For the brand, we've definitely been seeing a lot of positive sentiment, especially after rewarding the vendor that really brought us to the fore of that moment. We definitely are feeling the love. It's our 50th anniversary this year, and so it's kind of the perfect way for us to start ramping things up for that. Again, we're just absolutely excited we could have been part of that overall experience.
At another point during the stream, a lady who was eating curry goat from local restaurant chain Chicken and Things interacted with Speed and showed him her meal. Founder of Chicken and Things, Emilio Madden, reached out to the lady and has since rewarded her for helping promote their brand.
You was at the right place at the right time. And for that, we want to say thank you. You love it, curry goat? Yes. All right, so for that, here's what we're going to do for you. You're going to eat curry goat all the month of May at Chicken and Things for free at any location. On behalf of the Chicken and Things team and member of staff, I want to say thank you for being at the right place at the right time, and thank you for supporting us.
State Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce Delano Seavright says the virality of the stream shows the importance of digital branding for local businesses in today's world.
Several Jamaican brands received organic exposure throughout the stream, and of course, that kind of authentic visibility has real value in today's digital economy. Now, of course, we all know social media moves very quickly, so we have to stay balanced and realistic. Viral moments can sometimes be temporary, but at the same time, this was positive, wide global exposure for Brand Jamaica, for Kingston, and our culture overall. So I think it also highlights the growing importance of digital creators and live streaming in today's world, and Jamaica is naturally very well positioned in that space because we have a lot to offer.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
6 people have been killed in confrontations with the security forces in less than a week. That's according to the latest report from the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM. It says up to May 5, 4 people were killed in fatal encounters with the security forces. That number increased to 10 on Monday, May 11. That brings the total number of people cut down by the security forces to 125. That's 5 more than the 120 killed in the corresponding period in 2025. The latest fatal shooting occurred on Friday in Mandeville, Manchester. 18-year-old Dante Edward Carter and 19-year-old Dave Raymond were killed during an intense gun battle with the police, who reportedly chased them for over 1 kilometer. The car chase is said to have started on Newley Road and ended in the town of Mandeville. One eyewitness says bystanders were forced to run for cover during the gunfight.
When we hear the gunshot, them a come. So me have to take with myself. So we were behind the kiss come, I see a smoke. I tell you, so I was so close till I be a smoke. So I say, no, this is not pretty. So I keep on moving. I say, be a woman. I tell you, I watch. Mostly I follow behind the woman running. The women, they were just running in all directions. Everybody, it was a big panic. We describe it like an Iraq scene. We never seen something like this. Barrage of gunshot of fire.
An eyewitness of the gun battle in Mandeville, Manchester on Friday.
Meanwhile, Jamaica has recorded a 24% drop in homicides across the island since the start of the year. That's the latest crime update from the Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF. It says up to May 9, 192 murders had been recorded in the country. That's 61 fewer than the 253 homicides recorded for the corresponding period last year. St. Andrew North has seen the biggest drop, registering only 1 murder over the period. It's a 92% decline from the 13 recorded over the corresponding period last year. On the other hand, St. James leads the murder tally, recording 26 homicides since January 1. The JCF says other major crimes are continuing the downward trend. Shootings are down by 33%, rape 13%, robbery at 17%, and break-ins at nearly 10%.
The police are again issuing an urgent appeal for 31-year-old Dane Watson, who has been named a person of interest in the killing of his wife, Melissa Samnath, to report to the nearest police station. This as investigators intensify their probe into the murder of Samnath. Senior Communications Strategist at the Jamaica Constabulary Force, Senior Superintendent Dennis Brooks, is urging anyone with information that can assist the police to share what they know.
Once again, the investigators are urging Dane Watson to immediately report to the Freeport Police Station in St. James or to the nearest police station, as they believe he can be of assistance to them in furthering this investigation. And anyone with information they believe can assist the investigators is being urged to contact the Freeport Police, to contact Crime Stop at 311, Police Emergency at 119, or the nearest police station.
SSP Dennis Brooks, a senior communications strategist at the JCF. Police say Samnath, a US-based Jamaican, arrived on the island on April 28 to celebrate her birthday and was staying with Watson, whom she reportedly married in December 2025. Sources indicate that she was picked up from the airport by an ex-boyfriend and taken to an Airbnb where they spent time together. She later left and was collected by Watson, who allegedly discovered the encounter. An argument reportedly followed, during which Samnath was physically assaulted. According to investigators, on April 29, Watson transported her to the Cornwall Regional Hospital and left shortly after assisting her from a vehicle. Medical staff later alerted the police after she was pronounced dead. A post-mortem conducted on May 6 revealed that Samnath died from multiple blunt force trauma to the head. Detectives say subsequent investigations led them to a premises in Norwood, St. James, where evidence relevant to the case was recovered. Police also note that Watson is known to law enforcement in Montego Bay. He was arrested in connection with a murder case in May 2021 and in 2024 reported that he was assaulted in Cornwall courts.
The Integrity Commission has requested information from the National Works Agency, NWA, regarding Hurricane Melissa procurement activities. The Works Minister, Robert Morgan, made the disclosure on Nationwide's news review show the week that was on Sunday. He was responding to concerns about the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, NARA, particularly about who will oversee it and whom it will be accountable.
Now, as we speak, the Integrity Commission has a direct line to the National Works Agency looking at Melissa procurement. we received a letter from the Integrity Commission that says we want to look at your contract real time, right? MOPA doesn't have to wait until the event has happened. It can intervene while the event is taking place. So too the FID, right? I do remember you also have the parliamentary committees as well. The PAAC can summon any entity head at any time, and they are obligated to go. So you have the parliamentary oversight, you have the statutory oversight, you have the public oversight.
NARA is a temporary implementation machine designed to accelerate rebuilding efforts following Hurricane Melissa. It serves as a centralized body to coordinate public-private projects, aiming to minimize bureaucratic delays and oversee construction of infrastructure, schools, and health facilities. Some critics of the legislation, including the opposition and civil society groups, have questioned whether the accountability mechanisms in the legislation are strong enough. Despite those concerns, the legislation passed in the Senate Friday night. Minister Morgan believes that political opposition to the legislation is rooted in the fear that if successful, NARA could be a transformative asset for the ruling JLP.
I think a lot of the persons who you hear speaking about the NARA bill know exactly what the NARA bill is intended to do, and they know the accountability framework that exists within our society. I think what I am beginning to feel, and I hope my feelings are incorrect, is that there are a set of people who believe that if the government is successful, it means failure for them. That if the JLP administration uses NARA to develop the country, then their political fortunes are going to be challenged. Now, the objective of the government coming less than a year after an election is not about elections. It's about a crisis that has come upon our doorsteps.
Robert Morgan, Minister with Responsibility for Works.
Meanwhile, government senator and former mayor of Montego Bay, Charles Sinclair Jr., says he is among a range of stakeholders who are optimistic that the NARA law will speed up reconstruction efforts in southern and western sections of the island. Sinclair, who is also councillor for the influential Flanker Division in St. James, was speaking during the debate on NARA in the Upper House on Friday.
The Jamaican people in the parishes of St. Elizabeth, Hanover, Westmoreland, St. James and Trelawney can't wait any longer for the reconstruction process to commence and to commence swiftly. They need implementation now. They need reconstruction which is strategic. They need coordination in planning and implementation. They need their lives and livelihoods to be restored and made better and more resilient.
Senator Sinclair criticized opposition members of parliament who voted against the bill.
Mr. President, what I want to find out from those persons in the other place who voted against the bill was whether they had consultation with their constituents before casting the vote, Mr. President. Mr. President, how many town hall meetings or community meetings did they have before they came here and voted against the bill? Mr. President, if those answers are not provided with specifics and independent proof, it is my considered position that the opposition is mere politicking. They are anti-people, anti-development, and anti-Jamaica.
That's Charles Sinclair Jr., government senator. You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
You're listening to Nationwide 90 FM. The time is
5:17.
For 25 years, Digicel has been keeping Jamaica better connected. From late night calls to the texts, clicks, and moments that keep us close. Celebrating 25 years. Digicel, powered by you, connected by us.
Continuing the news, manufacturers of non-alcoholic sweetened beverages have been given until Friday, May 15 to register and obtain licenses under Jamaica's new Special Consumption Tax (SCT) regime. Tax Administration Jamaica TAJ granted an extension following talks with industry stakeholders. The reprieve comes less than 2 weeks after the new tax took effect on May 1, 2026. It follows a meeting between the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association, the Ministry of Finance, and TAJ, indicating that the industry had raised concerns about its readiness to meet the original deadline. The tax was tabled as part of the government's 2026-2027 revenue measures on April 28. It introduces an SCT on sugary and artificially sweetened beverages manufactured or imported into Jamaica. It is charged at a specific rate of 22 cents per gram of added sugar or sweetener, a structure that will affect pricing across a wide range of products. Affected beverages include carbonated drinks, sweetened juices, sports and energy drinks, flavored water, and other sweetened drinks intended for human consumption. Manufacturers are now required to be licensed under the Excise Duty Act and registered with TAJ for SCT purposes. The government has described the measure as both a fiscal and a public health initiative, one aimed at curbing excessive sugar consumption while broadening the country's revenue base.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute.
Haiti's prime minister says the country's security conditions are not at a level conducive to hold elections this August. Prime Minister Alix Didier Fils-Aimé made the disclosure in an interview broadcast on Monday. It comes as the Caribbean nation awaits its first presidential vote in a decade. Preparations for elections have been set back by worsening insecurity in Haiti as gangs cement their power over the capital and spread to rural and central Haiti.
The number of Labour MPs explicitly calling for UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer to resign has risen to 70. The growing number of MPs say Starmer must demit office or set out a timetable for his departure. It follows last week's devastating local election results for his Labour Party across England and legislative votes in Scotland and Wales. Several of those calling for him to go were ministerial aides. But Starmer has insisted that he would prove doubters of his leadership wrong. He also vowed to restore hope to the country by forging closer ties with the European Union.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories making nationwide news at this hour, Jamaica recorded 46.7 million cyber attack attempts and detected 7 million active scans last year.
Local brands left buzzing after being featured in the Jamaican leg of popular internet streamer iShowSpeed's Caribbean tour.
6 killed by the police in 6 days.
Integrity Commission requests information from the NWA about its Hurricane Melissa procurement activities.
I'm Robeanne Williams.
And I'm Mahiri Stewart.
Join the Nationwide Family Club at patreon.com/Nationwide News Network. News next, the headlines at 6.
Transgem Highways is having a 50% Mother's Day discount on T-Tag packages. Get yours from the teller at the toll booth for only $1,250, including a $500 toll credit from May 4 to May 30, 2026. When you get your T-Tag, top up to keep using it. Choose whichever method of topping up is most convenient for you. Go through quicker with a T-Tag every time on Transgem Highways.
For 25 years, Digicel has been keeping Jamaica better connected. From late night calls to the texts, clicks, and moments that keep us close.
Hi, babes.
A network built in Jamaica for Jamaicans. But connection has never been just about the network. It's about the people behind every hello.
Yo, my general.
Celebrating 25 years. Digicel, powered by you, connected by us.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. The Trinidad and Tobago Red Force, they were holding the advantage at close on day number 2 of their West Indies Championship playoff against the Barbados Pride, being played over at Coolidge in Antigua. The Pride were 262 for 9. They're responding to 333 3 all-out made by the Red Force, which means they're 71 runs behind with one wicket in hand. It was the middle to lower order which stood up for the Pride, as the consistent Lenika Boucher top scored with 80, Joshua Bishop weighed in with 77, and Shamar Springer weighed in with 55. Anderson Phillip claimed the 4 for 51, Terrence Hines 3 for 45, and Jaden Seals 2 for 57. The Red Force resumed on day 2 on a 298 for 7. Captain Joshua De Silva, he was 65 overnight. He went on to make 70. As I mentioned, the Red Force went on to make 333. Shamar Springer, he ended with 3 for 65. Carl Mears, Johan Lane, and Ruston Chase bagged 2 wickets apiece. And the winner of this one-off game will book a spot in the championship final against the Guyana Harpy Eagles, who topped the preliminary standings, and that final is scheduled for this weekend also at Coolidge in Antigua. Miles Bascom, who is director of cricket at Cricket West Indies, explained that the team's fitness and conditioning unit is working assiduously to ensure the top players across the region are fit and ready for the tour by Sri Lanka.
What we are looking at is ensuring that we have all our players for the start of the international home series, right? And Shea Hope has a huge role to play in that, and we have no doubts that he will have everything that he needs to be prepared, when play starts come June 3rd.
And of course, the West Indies will take on the Sri Lankans in 3 one-day internationals, a similar number of T20 internationals, and the 2 test matches. The former head coach of the West Indies team, Otis Gibson, has been contracted, and he'll work as the bowling consultant, of course, a fast bowling consultant. And Bascom explains his role alongside the fast bowling coach, Ravi Rampal.
Because it's something that I think a lot of people have, gotten confused about. So Ravi's is the bowling coach who is with the team, right? So Ravi will go on tours. He will support camps and so on as well. But Otis's role is to support camps and to work with that next line of players. That support that we need for players who perhaps did not make the squad, players who we've identified as having potential to play international cricket. Otis's job would be to help us to sort of quantify where their ceiling is at.
That's Director of Cricket at Cricket West Indies, Miles Bascom. Football now. There's another twist in the 2-horse race to avoid relegation from the English Premier League on Monday. As Tottenham Hotspur, they were held 1-1 by Leeds United at the Tottenham Stadium in London. French star Mathys Tells, he gave Tottenham the lead on 50 minutes, but Dominic Calvert-Lewin wiped out the advantage 24 minutes later from the spot to keep the Londoners firmly rooted in the relegation dogfight with only 2 games left in the season.
It's a very good ball being flicked away by Beale and sent back in by Mathys Tell. Oh, what a strike for Spurs! What's the big moment here? It's Calvert-Lewin. It's powered home by the Leeds number 9, and Leeds are back on level terms.
And Spurs remain 17th in the standings. They've got 38 points. That's 2 ahead of their direct rival for that last relegation spot, West Ham United, who are on 36 points. Defending champions Jamalco, they etched their names in the history books, becoming the first team to win back-to-back titles in the short history of the Supreme Ventures Major League Netball competition, following a thrilling 37-36 victory over Upsetters A in the final at the weekend. Now, the championship encounter lived up to all its billing. Both teams battled fiercely throughout the contest, but Jamalco held their nerve better in the end. As the closing stages of the match, they secured the narrow 1-goal win and successfully defended their title. The veteran coach, Winston Never, says his team entered the final with one aim in mind.
We spoke about it and that we want to defend our title and we would love to have it in this one because we already done it in the Berger Super League one time. Now it changed to the Supreme Venture Major League. So we never do it back to back. So this time around we spoke about it and we tell each other. They was happy and I tell you, they played really well.
And Never says despite the pressure of defending the title in a close battle throughout the contest, never once that he thought his team wouldn't have done it.
I didn't worry, because what happened is that it was so close. The first quarter, I didn't worry at all. And then the second quarter, they lead us by 1. And then we make our move in the third quarter now and control the game overall. But I want to say congrats to them because I tell you, they have some quality play and they really take us to the line. It was an exciting match and I love the challenge.
Winston Scrappy Nevers, head coach of Jamalco. Now in the Lucasade Intermediate A Division, Spec A, they handed Titans their first defeat of the season after producing an impressive 37-27 victory in the finals to claim the title. Meanwhile, Global B captured the Jamaica Energy Partners Intermediate B Championship with a 31-24 win over Untouchables A. In the Supreme Ventures Minor League Final, Spartan defeated MD Strikers A 31-24 to lift the championship trophy, and Excel Eagles B were also crowned champions after overpowering Panthers D 19-6, and this to secure the Supreme Ventures Minor League title. And that will do it for sports at the minute. We're going to be back, though, at 6:05 with much more in our major sportscast. And Alex Swaby will be your presenter.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. Total Tools, every tool, every trade.
For all your custom framing, printing, graphic design, and purchase of art, Make It Frame Art Jamaica Limited, serving you for over 40 years. The time by Frame Art Jamaica is
5:30.
It's $1 million summer with Mitsubishi. And if a beach we a go, we have to reach it. Eclipse, cross it to safe and easy. Outlander, link up Pochi weekend. It's $1 million summer with Mitsubishi. A year sport with space and seating comfortable. It's a Mitsubishi. Hey, it's a Mitsubishi. It's $1 million off. Them 3 ride. Features nice with the leather inside. Cool AC, everybody feel right. It's $1 million summer. $1 million summer.
This promotion is authorized under Section 53 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
The Philharmonic Orchestra of Jamaica presents Encore, a harmonic reawakening, captivating music from the classical masters, movies, and our homeland. Saturday, May 16 and Sunday, May 17 at the Little Theatre. Conductor Franklin E. Halliburton, guest soloist Sashika Brown. Tickets $5,000 pre-sold, $6,000 at the gate. Reserved box seats $7,500. Tickets at Fontana Pharmacy, Waterloo, and Sovereign, and the Music Mart. The Philharmonic Orchestra of Jamaica in concert, May 16 and 17 at the Little Theatre.
Tired of long lines and heavy grocery bags? Say hello to Fedlin Limited, your trusted online supermarket. Order through our website from anywhere locally or overseas. Create an account to earn reward points. Track your orders, get discounts and special prizes. Enjoy same-day delivery in Manchester and St. Elizabeth, or pick up at our store in Santa Cruz. Don't wait, order today. Visit our website at fedlinsupermarket.com. Fedlin Limited, your groceries, your way.
Here is the planet's ultimate game, the final of the Football World Cup.
The FIFA World Cup finals are coming to Nationwide 90 FM. We've long been the trusted source to deliver global sporting events like the Olympic Games and the World Championships. And now, we're about to have our fingerprint all over another successful landing of the biggest of them all, the FIFA World Cup finals. 104 games across 39 amazing days of football from 16 cities in the Americas. Boston to New York to Monterey to Atlanta. Join the trusted source Nationwide 90 FM this summer as the globe tunes in to the FIFA World Cup Finals. And we've got it covered right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Argentina, champions of the world!
Every day, Jamaicans have something to say. In the group chats, on social media, in the streets, there's a place where it all comes together. The comment section. This is not a lecture. This is not a call-in show. This is the hottest topics of the day, filtered through real opinions, real WhatsApp messages, real voice notes, real reactions. You agree, disagree, sound off, text it, voice note it, debate it. Comments section, Monday to Friday from 7 to 7:30 p.m. only on Nationwide 90 FM, the new revolution in media.
On Wednesday, May 13, join Cliff Hughes online as we go live on location at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel for the Service Excellence Conference 2026. From 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., we'll bring you live coverage. Hear from public sector leaders, disaster risk experts, and key stakeholders as we discuss how ministries, departments, and agencies deliver services during both normal operations and in times of crisis. That's a live broadcast of the Service Excellence Conference 2026 during Cliff Hughes Online from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. This broadcast is brought to you by the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service.
What's everyone talking about? It's Front Page in This Morning. Get the issue of the day this and every weekday morning at 7:20 a.m. on Front Page. This Morning. Morning radio the right way. Front Page is brought to you by ABC Electrical for a better choice in the electrical business.
Turn up the heat with Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classifieds feature. If you have a car for sale, room for rent, or yard sale come up. If you look at work or need stuff. If you provide a service, make it a Hot Listing, Nationwide 90 FM's new on-air and online classified segment. Your listing plays again and again. From morning till evening. You sing it, we play it. You say it once, Jamaica hears it all day, every hour. Contact our sales team now at 876-630-1210 or sales at nationwidenewsnetwork.com. Hot Listings on Nationwide 90 FM, a new revolution in media.
Wake up, Jamaica.
It's another glorious day on Nationwide this morning. From your 6 a.m. alarm to the news at 6. Coming up in the news at 6 to me telling you what's on my mind.
To more news at 7 a.m. Coming up in the news at 7. And then the biggest issues dissected, interrogated and discussed on the front page. Nationwide this morning fires you up and sets you right for the remainder of the day.
And there's much more until 9 a.m. Want to know which roads to avoid on your morning commute?
Time now for Street Smarts 2 with Ludlow McLean.
Listen to Street Smart.
Want to hear more about things happening at the community level outside the bustling corporate area? Listen to Across Jamaica.
George, it's someone's birthday.
Happy birthday, yeah, my friend.
And that someone will hear a special greeting every morning via the Birthday Club.
Nationwide this morning on the revolution in media.
It's coffee, tea, and everything else.
For those who want an energetic,
rip-roaring start to their day.
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Multilink. Access every time, everywhere I go. Multilink. 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use Multilink. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multilink logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multilink, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multilink?
Good afternoon. Thank you so very much for sticking and staying with us right here inside Must Listen Radio. It's Nationwide at 5. I'm Tyrone Reed. Well, you're inside the Cover Story. Listeners, if you're in the 90 FM band, welcome to you. Of course, if you're watching over there on YouTube, top of the afternoon to you as well, and welcome. Now, inside the Cover Story today, we want to focus our attention on crime in the parish of Manchester. Now, before we dive into what we have prepared for you, just a reminder that we're asking all of our valued listeners and viewers to join the Nationwide Family Club today and enjoy 20% off when you sign up for a full year. Yes, that's 20% off. Get exclusive content, behind-the-scenes access, and members-only perks. Starting May 11, Family Club members will get exclusive access to our production meetings. And of course, May 11 is today. Yes, so patreon.com/Nationwide News Network. Yes, come on, be a part of the family. Now, the head of the JCF's Area 3 ACP, Christopher Phillips, says the police will be cracking down on criminals in the parish of Manchester. This amid a sharp increase in murder.
We're going to wage war against those who continue to try and destroy Manchester. And we are seeing signs of that. where some persons believe that Manchester is a safe place for criminality. It will not be. We're not going to allow it. We shan't have it. We are going to push back and we are going to fight hard.
The voice there of ACP Christopher Phillips. He's the head of the police's Area 3. Now, he was speaking at the opening ceremony of a renovated conference room at the Mandeville Police Station recently. Manchester is one of 7 police divisions that have recorded an increase in murders this year. That parish saw 14 murders between January 1 and May 9 this year, compared to 7 in the corresponding period in 2025. That's a 100% increase. ACP Phillips says the violent criminals wreaking havoc in the parish of Manchester should brace for a fight. On Friday, we saw a manifestation of that fight. 2 men were slain in a reported confrontation with the police in Mandeville. They are 18-year-old Dante Edward Carter of Hanbury District in Manchester and Brighton District in St. Elizabeth, and 19-year-old Dave Raymond of Manningsfield District in Manchester. They were cut down in an intense gun battle during a high-speed chase spanning over a kilometer. How are stakeholders in the parish coping with the crime situation in Manchester? We're being joined by President of the Manchester Chamber of Commerce, Michaela Rowe, Custos of Manchester, Garfield Green, and of course, Pastor of the Mandeville Circuit of Baptist Churches, Reverend Kirk Pinnock. Top of the afternoon to all of you. Welcome to Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon.
Greetings. Thank you.
Indeed. Let's begin with the President of the Chamber of Commerce, Michaela Rowe, who joins us on Zoom. Michaela Rowe, what's your feeling? What are your thoughts on the cool parish of Manchester heating up as it relates to murders?
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I am very concerned. I am not going to say I'm not concerned, but Manchester has long been known as a parish with tremendous economic potential. And the fact that we have such great confidence in the police, the Manchester Police Division that is currently being managed by Superintendent Kerry Duncan, we believe that in short order, they will be able to to cramp down on the current crime situation in the parish. It has been our yes, it has been our experience that whenever crime flare up like this, they have always put in the extra effort to bring back the levels down, because as a business community, we know that crime affects our businesses, and that we don't want for the parish.
And let me bring the Rev in on the conversation here. Reverend Pinnock, what's the general feeling on the ground? How are people reacting to this increase in murders?
The increase in murders have shocked our community. We are generally a quiet, laid-back, respectful community. And these kinds of activities have really hurt our members. It has affected the church directly, in that we have seen a number of our activities curtailed when we want to go into certain communities for street meetings or late night services. The police advise that we have to curtail those activities because those areas are under curfew. In a less direct way, it has struck fear in the hearts of many residents. And so things like night service, early morning prayer meetings are not as well attended. And of course, generally speaking, crime affects economic productivity. Economic viability often results, the first place to be impacted when there's an economic downturn is the church. So it has impacted us significantly.
Garfield Green, you're the Custos of the parish of Manchester. What are your thoughts on the uptick in murders and the police's ability to handle it?
Thanks for having me, and good afternoon to you and your listeners. Of course, once there's an uptick in crime, generally speaking, not necessarily just murder, there's some level of concern among the citizenry of the parish. And to an extent, some amount of fear. It is always said that the criminals that are here in Manchester are not from Manchester. But I can say that for them to come here, they must have some connection here in the parish. The police have vowed to get on top of it. I firmly believe in the police and their capability to get this under control. They have the resources, technological resources, they have the human resources, and I think they have the knowledge and experience to deal with it. I have seen where they have responded to many cases and were able to have quick breakthrough. So I stand with them. In your opening remarks, you mentioned ACP Phillips, vowing to wage a war on crime. I'm sorry, I'm having the flu.
That's all right.
And I do believe, I stand with him, I stand with his team, and I know that they can deal with it and they will deal with it. Personally, I don't have any fear. I do have concerns yet, but I'm not fearful right now. I'm not feeling it because I do believe that these crimes are more targeted. They are not widespread. Well, they are targeted crimes, and they know who they're looking for, who they want. That's my personal belief, but I would leave the police to say otherwise if it is otherwise.
All right. Hold it right there for us, Custis. We're up on the break. We have to take the break. We're talking an uptick in crime in the cool parish of Manchester. We'll take the break right here and come back with more.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore, for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household, and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is
29 degrees Celsius in capital city Kingston and 27 out west in the tourism mecca of Montego Bay.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere, spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multilink logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multilink?
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies, including plugs, switches, panel boards, and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
For 25 years, Digicel has been keeping Jamaica better connected. From late night calls to the texts, clicks, and moments that keep us close. Celebrating 25 years. Digicel, powered by you, connected by us.
Welcome back. Thank you so very much for sticking and staying with us right here inside Nationwide at 5. Murders are heating up in the Cool parish of Manchester. According to the police data, the parish has seen 14 murders between January 1 and May 9 this year, compared to 7 in the corresponding period in 2025. That's a 100% increase. And of course, just on Friday, 2 men were slain in a reported confrontation with the police in Mandeville. Those men, 18 years old and 19 years old. Yes, Dante Edward Carter and Dave Raymond of Manning's Field District in Manchester. 2 young men we see here, Pastor Pinnock, 2 young men that we see being cut down in the latest incident in Mandeville on Friday. Your reaction to that?
It really is a broader failure in our society. Men of that age group should be either gainfully engaged in further academic pursuits, finishing school, finishing art, off to university, engage in some skills training. But instead, they are involved in activities that the authorities deem unlawful, and so therefore they run afoul of the law, or they are caught up in activities that would engage our lawmen. It is really a broader failure of the overall society that the young men and the future of our nation are being cut down in this way. We would prefer to have young men at that age fully engaged in the development of our nation, fully engaged in programs that are available. But there seems to have been an alternative that is attracting young men of this type. Children of the technology age are misusing their gifts and skills and abilities for the quickest gain, the shortest gain, and far too often the story is similar. They're engaged in some elements of lottery scamming, they're engaged in some cover-up or some gang-related activity, and then the authorities have to step in. It is quite unfortunate, and we really do not feel proud that this is where we are, and so we have to put measures in place now to stem this tide.
Let me bring you back in here, Michaela Rowe. Of course, based on the reportage on what happened on Friday, it almost sounds like the violent scenes out of a movie. A running gun battle, car chase. Has it affected business in the parish?
Yes, most definitely. I know of several businesses that had to close earlier than they would normally close because of the violence on Friday evening. It doesn't only affect those businesses as well, but it affects the employees of the businesses. Those employees who have to traverse the main roads, who have to take the taxis, they would have been significantly affected by even witnessing the level of violence that would have taken place in Mandeville on Friday evening. And that type of violent situation not only affects customer confidence, but it affects the cost of doing business, because at the end of the day, persons want to know that they are doing business in a safe space. So if people do not feel safe, they are not going to be comfortable to do business. And it affects the overall staff morale and the productivity of the staff, because you can imagine going to work and wondering, okay, am I going to be safe tonight? After work, is it going to be okay for me to go home? So those are some of the things that we have to look into and try to ensure that we put the necessary mechanisms in place so that these violent activities don't consistently happen in this parish that we're trying to build.
Just to ensure I'm hearing you right there, President of the Manchester chapter of the Chamber of Commerce, you're saying since Saturday, Sunday into today, businesses have been closing earlier because of what happened on Friday?
Yes, I know about Friday night and Saturday night. I cannot speak to Sunday, but Friday and Saturday, there were several businesses that closed early. And I can speak to that from the perspective of being the CEO of Beverage Security Company, because we had to close up several businesses up to 2.5 hours earlier than they normally close on these busy weekend afternoons.
Help us to understand there. So what time would they usually have closed?
So you have some supermarkets would close 9 p.m. You find that they close from 7 instead of their regular 9 p.m. schedule.
And this was widespread, you say?
Pardon?
Was it widespread?
I can only speak about probably 5.
Mm-hmm.
And 5 is a significant number.
Right. Right, which would mean others might have done it, but you might not be aware of.
I might not be aware of the other persons who have done it. But you see, and that is a significant, because you can imagine that doesn't only affect the business and the economics of the business, but you have to look at employees as well. You have several employees who work and are paid based off hours that they work. So you can see the ripple effect that this has on the businesses and the employees.
Costas, Garfield Green, the gun battle involved a private motor vehicle. Of course, the police were said to be in an unmarked car. Shots were being exchanged. Are you comfortable with the police's handling of this particular incident?
I don't have all the details, but the police is there to protect, to serve, and to reassure us. They develop their strategies, and whatever strategy that they come up with, we just have to trust them. Yes, there are many strategies that I know that they employ to combat crime. They are the experts at what they do, and there's no point in us sitting on the side and criticizing what they are doing, and they should do things differently. Right? They are the experts, and yes, I do have confidence in them in getting this thing and handling on crime.
Pastor Pinnock, you share those sentiments? Any concerns about how this particular incident went down?
Oh, the church retains full confidence in the actions of the police to protect its citizens. We would prefer if it would not be a chase down Main Street in full view of pedestrians, including children trying to make it home. But what we find is that there is a kind of brazenness about the kinds of criminality we're facing. And our last resort in terms of a physical intervention is our lawmen and women. So they have our full support. We work very closely with them. We were in full support of the opening of the new center. And whilst there may be questions, we leave those to Indicom to address. But the community the community is satisfied with how our lawmen have been responding, and we support our crime fighting efforts, and they will always have the backing of the church. For we stand on the side of law enforcement. We give them our full support. And in Manchester, we have not had many cases of extrajudicial killings or police abusing their authority. Wherever such is the case, we will be the first to stand against any sort of criminality among our officers or anything that undermines human flourishing. But the police have our full support, and we thank them for being quick on the scene and responding the ways they have.
Madam Chamber of Commerce President, you share those sentiments as well, and I heard from you that you are in the security field. I'd love to hear you on that, the police's handling of it, and two, if you could help paint a picture for our listeners and viewers, what was the kind of atmosphere, that bedlam that we're being told took place in down Main Street, as it were, during this gun battle between the police and gunmen? Michaela Rowe? It seems we've
Are you hearing me clearly?
We're hearing you now. You can go ahead. Yes.
Okay, great. I do share those same sentiments. What I do know is that the police don't choose where they will be attacked by hoodlums. So if that was the case on Friday night, I believe that they would have been well equipped and well trained on how to deal with the situation. So I believe that they would have dealt with it in the right way, responded in the right way based on their training. I am not happy though that it had to take place in such a place that it did. Our communities need to feel that sense of that, need to be able to feel like, okay, we are safe wherever we go.
But do you get a sense that people are feeling, especially business community, that the police are on top of things based on their handling of this particular incident?
I believe so. I know that the Manchester Chamber of Commerce and the businesses on a wide scale supports the police. And we are here willing, capable, and ready to work with the police to ensure that this crime situation that we are currently facing is eradicated. But as I said, I have concerns about the fact that this would have happened at the time that it did and where it did. But I believe that the police will do the necessaries to make sure that these things don't happen again.
And you accept, of course, that the police perhaps have no control over those factors that you've highlighted?
I don't believe they do. From my experience, I don't believe they had any option in responding the way that they did.
All right, we have to leave it there. We're out of time, but I want to thank you, Michaela Rowe, yes, President of the Manchester Chamber of Commerce. Of course, Garfield Green is the custos of the parish of Manchester, and pastor of the Mandeville Circuit of Baptist Churches, Reverend Kirk Pinnock. Thanks for the time and the thoughts to all of you. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
This has been the cover story, the headlines. No, pardon me. The headlines are next, but coming up after this, I should tell you, we will have a paid broadcast of Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon's contribution to the NARA debate in the Senate on Friday, May 8, 2026. And of course, that will be the remainder of this evening's show. All right, stick and stay with us.
Cover story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Join us on Nationwide 90 FM on Tuesday, May 12, from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. for the sectoral presentation by the Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton. Watch the presentation live on our YouTube channel, Nationwide 90 FM Live. This broadcast is brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Due to this live broadcast, your regular programming may be disrupted on May 12. We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is
6:01.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening. With the headlines at 6, I'm Nora Gay Banton. Jamaica recorded 46.7 million cyber attack attempts in 2025, with a further 7 million active scans detected. That's according to Fortinet's 2026 Global Threat Landscape Report. The figures place the island within a broader regional picture of 325 million attempts across the English-speaking Caribbean. The report, compiled from FortiGuard Labs telemetry across 2025, describes a fundamental shift in how cybercrime operates. Attackers are no longer working alone. They now function like structured businesses, using AI-powered tools to automate attacks, recruit specialist operators, and sell ready-made crime services to others with little technical knowledge. Ransomware victims reached nearly 8,000 globally. That's a 389% increase year over year. Attackers now target critical vulnerabilities within 24 to 48 hours of public disclosure, a significant reduction from the previous average of nearly 5 days. And exploitation attempts rose by more than 25%, even as less precise brute force attacks declined. Attackers are also changing what they target. Rather than simple passwords, they now seek comprehensive data sets, detailed logs containing credentials, behavioral data, and contextual information that make impersonation far easier. 6 people have been killed in confrontations with security forces in less than a week. That's according to the latest report from the Independent Commission of Investigations, INDICOM. It says up to May 5, 4 people were killed in fatal encounters with the security forces. That number increased to 10 on Monday, May 11. That brings the total number of people cut down by the security forces to 125. That's 5 more than the 120 killed in the corresponding period in 2025. The latest fatal shooting occurred on Friday in Mandeville, Manchester. 18-year-old Dante Edward Carter and 19-year-old Dave Raymond were killed during an intense gun battle with the police, who reportedly chased them for over 1 kilometer. Jamaica has recorded a 24% drop in homicides across the island since the start of the year. That's the latest crime update from the Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF. It says up to May 9, 192 murders had been recorded in the country. That's 61 fewer than the 253 homicides recorded for the corresponding period last year. St. Andrew North has seen the biggest drop, registering only 1 murder over the period. It's a 92% decline from the 13 recorded over the corresponding period last year. On the other hand, St. James leads the murder tally, recording 26 homicides since January 1. And the police are again issuing an urgent appeal for 31-year-old Dane Watson, who has been named a person of interest in the killing of his wife, Melissa Samnath, to report to the nearest police station. This as investigators intensify their probe into the murder of Samnath. Senior Communications Strategist at the Jamaica Constabulary Force, Senior Superintendent Dennis Brooks, is urging anyone with information that can assist the police to share what they know.
Once again, the investigators are urging Dane Watson to immediately report to the Freeport Police Station in St. James or to the nearest police station, as they believe he can be of assistance to them in furthering this investigation. And anyone with information they believe can assist the investigators is being urged to contact the Freeport Police, to contact Crime Stop at 311, Police Emergency at 119, or the nearest police station.
Senior Superintendent Dennis Brooks, Senior Communications Strategist at the JCF. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay. Bant on Sports is next.
Enough power tool, big to small. Jackama figure dig the wall. Upper total tools. Weed whacker figure trim the lawn. We have everything a job demand. Total tools. We rent them, sell them and fix them. Also give Total Tools a call. When I say home improvement, landscape construction, a Total Tools are your option. Home improvement, landscape construction, Total Tools are your option. Total Tools located at 102 Main Street, Ocho Rios, 34 Slipe Road, Kingston, and lot C6 Draxall, Sentence Bay. Call us today.
The Philharmonic Orchestra of Jamaica presents Encore, a harmonic reawakening, captivating music from the classical masters, movies, and our homeland. Saturday, May 16 and Sunday, May 17 at the Little Theatre. Conductor Franklin E. Halliburton, guest soloist Sashika Brown. Tickets $5,000 pre-sold, $6,000 at the gate. Reserved box seats $7,500. Tickets at Fontana Pharmacy, Waterloo, and Sovereign, and the Music Mart. The Philharmonic Orchestra of Jamaica in concert, May 16 and 17 at the Little Theatre.
For 25 years, Digicel has been keeping Jamaica better connected. From late night calls to the texts, clicks, and moments that keep us close.
Hi, babes.
A network built in Jamaica for Jamaicans. But connection has never been just about the network. It's about the people behind every hello.
Yo, my general.
Celebrating 25 years. Digicel, powered by you, connected by us.
Here is the planet's ultimate game. The final of the Football World Cup.
The FIFA World Cup finals are coming to Nationwide 90 FM. We've long been the trusted source to deliver global sporting events like the Olympic Games and the World Championships. And now, we're about to have our fingerprint all over another successful landing of the biggest biggest of them all, the FIFA World Cup Finals.
Mbappe.
104 games across 39 amazing days of football from 16 cities in the Americas. Boston to New York to Monterey to Atlanta. Join the trusted source Nationwide 90 FM this summer as the globe tunes in to the FIFA World Cup Finals. And we've got it covered right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Argentina, champions of the world!
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's Word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
Good evening with your sports report. I am Alex Raby. We bowl things off with some cricket as the Trinidad and Tobago Red Force were holding the advantage at close on day 2 of their West Indies Championship playoff against the Barbados Pride at Coolidge in Antigua. The Pride were 262 for 9 when stumps were drawn, responding to 333 all out. They are still 71 runs behind with 1 wicket in hand. It was the middle to lower order which stood up for the Pride as the consistent Lanika Boucher top scored with 80, Joshua Bishop 77 and Shamar Springer 55. Alistair Phillip claimed 4 for 51, Terence Hines 3 for 45 and Jaden Seals 2 for 57. The Red Force resumed on 298 for 7. Captain Joshua De Silva earlier added 5 to his overnight 65 as the Red Force, who were 298 for 7 at the start, fell for 333. Samar Springer ended with 3 for 65. Cal Myers, John Lane and Roston Chase bagged 2 apiece. The winners will advance to the final to play the Guyana RP Eagles. Now, Miles Bascom, Director of Cricket at Cricket West Indies, explained that the team's fitness and conditioning unit is working assiduously to ensure the top players across the region are fit and ready for their upcoming international series against touring Sri Lanka.
What we are looking at is ensuring that we have all our players for the start of the international home series, right? And Shea Hope has a huge role to play in that, and we have no doubts that he will have everything that he needs to be prepared, when play starts come June 3rd.
The West Indies will engage Sri Lanka in 3 one-day internationals, 3 T20 internationals, and 2 test matches. This series will also feature Otis Gibson in his first assignment as fast bowling consultant. Bascom explains Gibson's role alongside bowling coach Ravi Rampal.
Because it's something that I think a lot of people have, gotten confused about. So Ravi's role, Ravi is the bowling coach who is with the team, right? So Ravi will go on tours. He will support camps and so on as well. But Otis's role is to support camps and to work with that next line of players. That support that we need for players who perhaps did not make the squad, players who we've identified as having potential to play international cricket. Otis's job would be to help us to sort of quantify where their ceiling is at.
Miles Bascom. Now to some footballers. Jamaica's senior women's football team will face a stern test at the 2026 Central American and Caribbean Games after being drawn in a challenging Group B alongside regional powerhouses Mexico, Colombia and Puerto Rico. The 2026 edition of the CSC Games will be hosted in the Dominican Republic, where some of the region's best women's football teams are expected to compete for regional supremacy. The Reggae Girls will open their campaign against Colombia on July 29 before taking on Puerto Rico on July 31. Jamaica will then close out the group stage with a highly anticipated clash against Mexico on August 2. The top 2 teams from each group will advance to the semifinals of the competition, setting the stage for an intense battle for qualification. Jamaica will be aiming to continue its rise in women's football following several strong performances on the international stage in recent years. And coach of Real Mona near Oxford will head into their Jamaica Women's Premier League semi-final showdown against champions Fraser's Whip full of confidence and without fear as they chase a place in the final. Real Mona secured their spot in the Final Four following a 2-0 victory over Cavalier on the weekend and will now face a daunting assignment against unbeaten defending champions Fraser's Whip in semi-final 2 at the Captain Horace Burrell Centre of Excellence at UWI on Saturday. Fraser's Whip entered the contest in dominant form after maintaining their perfect record with an emphatic 9-1 win over Real Mobay. Despite the challenge ahead, Oxford insists its players are embracing the opportunity to test themselves against the league's top team.
Body fears to play, but it's a team I'm dying to play against because that's a team that you'll have to lift your level. If you want to win, you have to play the best. And I know Coach Courtney Dowdy will be saying, how are we going to get past this Real Mona side? Yes, he might have the quality, but we have the heart.
Now in the other semi-final, Ornette Gardens will take on Los Perfectos at the same venue. Now, there was another twist in the 2-horse race to avoid relegation in the English Premier League on Monday, as Tottenham Hotspur were held to a 1-1 draw by Leeds United at the Tottenham Stadium in London. French star Mathys Tel gave Spurs a 58-minute lead, but Dominic Calvert-Lewin wiped out the advantage 24 minutes later from the spot to keep the Londoners firmly rooted in the relegation dogfight with 2 games to go.
It's a very good ball being flicked away by Biol and sent back in by Mathys Tel. Oh, what a strike for Spurs! What's the big moment here? It's Calvert-Lewin. It's powered home by the Leeds number 9, and Leeds are back on level terms.
Now Spurs remain 17th on 38 points, just 2 ahead of their direct rivals for the drop, West Ham United on 36. Notice some netball as defending champions Jamalco etched their names in the record books after becoming the first team to win back-to-back titles in the short history of the Supreme Ventures Major League Netball competition, following a thrilling 37-36 victory over upsetters A in the final on the weekend. The championship encounter lived up to expectations as both teams battled fiercely throughout the contest, but Jamalco held their nerve in the closing stages to secure the narrow 1-goal win and successfully defend their crown. Head coach Winston Nevers says his team entered the final with one objective: to create history.
We spoke about it and that we want to defend our title and would love to have it in this one because we already done it in the Berger Super League one time. Now it changed to the Supreme Venture Major League. So we never do it back to back. So this time around we spoke about it and we tell each other. They was happy, and I tell you, they played really well.
Nevers noted that despite the pressure of defending the title in a close contest, he remained confident throughout the match that his players would deliver another championship performance.
I didn't worry, because what happened is that it was so close. The first quarter, I didn't worry at all. And then the second quarter, they lead us by 1. And then we make our move in the third quarter now and control the game overall. But I want to say congrats to them because I tell you, they have some quality play and they really take us to the line. It was an exciting match and I love the challenge.
Winston Nevers. Now in the Lucozade Intermediate A Division, Spec A handed Titans their first defeat of the season after producing an impressive 37-27 victory in the final to claim the title. Meanwhile, Global B captured the Jamaica Energy Partners Intermediate B Championship with a 31-24 win over Untouchable A. In the Supreme Ventures Minor League Final, Spartan defeated MD Strikers A 31-24 to lift the championship trophy. XL Eagles B were also crowned champions after overpowering Panthers D 19-6 to secure the Supreme Ventures Mini League title. And finally, in track and field, Jamaican sprinter Jodine Williams revealed that a shift in the mindset has been the driving force behind her change in form and recent success in the sport. Williams was part of Jamaica's women's 4x100 meters relay team that won gold at the 2026 World Relays in Botswana. The 32-year-old believes maturity has also played a huge factor.
I would say, for one, the environment has changed because, I'm in a different environment from where I was. And the mindset, I think I have grown so much where I start being more, I would say, more motivated in myself, more confident, more determined. And I think my priority has changed where I start loving tracks more than how I used to love it back then when I was younger. Because, growing up, you're just doing track for maybe whatever reason it is. But then as you grow more, you start being more mature and you realize, hey, this is something that you love beyond just the talent that you have.
Williams, who was speaking on the Mr. Analyst podcast, revealed that trust in her coaching staff will only propel her in the 2026 athletics season.
I have so much faith in God and I have so much faith in my coaches, both the assistant coach and both the head coach, Mr. Wilson. And I have faith also in the training that I am doing. And I know what I have been doing and I've been improving on stuff that I needed to improve on. So I know that great things are coming and I'm just being patiently waiting on it and just having fun. I tell everybody, for me, when it comes down to track and field, I love competing. No matter what position I am at or no matter what is going on with me, mentally, physically, I love competing.
Jodine Williams, I'm Alex Raby, and that's your sports.
Hey yo, listen up. Don't wait for the symptoms start show. HIV test free. Make sure you know. Yo. Me take my test. Me get the news. Me take my meds. We can't lose. Family there, support there too. We strong, we bold life and live right through. Live bold this early. Test for HIV. Know your status move surely. After we go. Me take my test. Me get the news. Me take my meds. We can't lose. Live bold this Free testing is available at health centers island-wide. A message by the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
District 81 Caribbean Toastmasters Conference comes to Jamaica May 13 to 17 at the AC Hotel in Kingston under the theme Caribbean Roots Igniting a Bold Future. Register today at Eventbrite for a raft of educational sessions, speech contests, opening ceremony, gala presentation, and more. Caribbean Toastmasters Conference, where Caribbean leaders and speakers level up and where you can too. Join us, be empowered and inspired. For information, call 876-325-5383.
We are the best at what we do. At Hose Assembly and Supply Limited, we supply hose fittings and tools. We guarantee we can't be beaten when price and quality are combined. You brand us the Hose and Tool Boss because we deliver the most effective industrial solutions. Come in and experience the joy of shopping with Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. Call us 876-923-3936 or visit 173 Hagley Park Road, 2 Charlesworth Crescent or Montego Bay Trade Center. Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. More than just hoses. Now open every Sunday.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the multi-link logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my multi-link?
If you've ever called in, shared your story, or got help on this show, then you're already family. Now make it official. Join the nationwide 90 FM Family Club today on Patreon.
Join us on Nationwide 90 FM on Tuesday, May 12, from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. for the sectoral presentation by the Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christopher Tufton. Watch the presentation live on our YouTube channel, Nationwide 90 FM Live. This broadcast is brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Due to this live broadcast, your regular programming may be disrupted on May 12. We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause.
Hey!
is the planet's ultimate game. The final of the Football World Cup.
The FIFA World Cup finals are coming to Nationwide 90 FM. We've long been the trusted source to deliver global sporting events like the Olympic Games and the World Championships. And now, we're about to have our fingerprint all over another successful landing of the biggest of them all, the FIFA World Cup finals. 104 games across 39 amazing days of football from 16 cities in the Americas. Boston to New York to Monterey to Atlanta. Join the trusted source Nationwide 90 FM this summer as the globe tunes in to the FIFA World Cup Finals. And we've got it covered right here on Nationwide 90 FM, the revolution in media.
Argentina, champions of the world!
The following is a paid broadcast of Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon's contribution to the NARA debate in the Senate on Friday, May 8, 2026.
Mr. President, thank you very much. Mr. President, it's been a long day, and I stand to close the debate. But I want to start by thanking the drafting team at the Office of the Chief Parliamentary Counsel. I want to especially thank Ms. Samantha Eaton for being here and all the work she has done on this bill. I also want to thank the attorneys from the Cabinet Office of Jamaica. I want to thank Ms. Caldwell. I want to thank Mr. Carr also. And I'm very happy that they're here with us today and have been able to support us. Mr. President, Jamaicans have been tuned into this debate in both places. And I'm very happy today that some of our young people were here. And I see some have stayed until the end. It says a lot about our young people. They're young people who are very interested. Earlier today, we had some students from UE, UTEC, CMU, JUTS. We had some members from G2K, Young Jamaica here also. And I know the students up there from UTEC, I know that they're very good students. And Mr. President, since I have the floor, I want to just tell you that routinely the Student Council of UTEC sends me documents on policies and bills we're debating to give their contribution to this. And so I'm very happy that they are here. I also want to acknowledge the members of civil society who stuck it out. Jeanette, thank you for sticking it out with us today, who are here. There were others earlier, but she's the last woman standing. And so thanks to civil society for that. Our Jamaicans, and especially our young people, understand that this bill is about one thing. It's about whether Jamaica, after one of the most devastating natural disasters in our history, will rebuild slowly, painfully, fragmented, or whether we'll rebuild with urgency, coordination, accountability, and purpose. Mr. President, I believe that people have a sense of the task at hand. I want to thank all Jamaicans who have participated in this debate through their tweets, their posts, their articles, their reports. Our democracy is alive and well. And so I thank all of them. I want to thank those who contributed today on both sides of the aisle. A lot of work went into preparing your statements, and I want to thank you for that. I sat here today listening to everybody on both sides and taking notes, and hopefully I will get that same respect back as I close the debate. Mr. President, please be reminded that the damage and losses have been estimated at approximately 1.952 trillion Jamaican dollars. Trillion. And that represents more than half of Jamaica's 2024 GDP. Homes were destroyed, schools were destroyed, roads were cut off, farms were completely flattened, water systems, health facilities, churches, public buildings, livelihoods, and whole communities were upended. Ordinary systems were not built for extraordinary devastation. And I repeat that. Ordinary systems were not built for extraordinary devastation. And our systems, despite all the work we've put into them, we both agreed does not move quickly enough. And this is an extraordinary devastation that we've been facing. A catastrophe of this scale cannot be managed by scattered approvals, disconnected agencies, and business as usual timelines. Mr. President, every government in an emergency must manage a delicate balance. Move too slowly and the people suffer. Move without safeguards and public trust withers away. This is the dichotomy before governments. That is the balance that this bill seeks to strike. And as I speak to members of civil society and other groups who call and want to have a conversation, that's where I take the conversation. What's the right balance? We want to have speed, but we also want to have accountability. And it's really weighing the two things. And so I move the conversation from the emotions to really having a conversation about what's that right balance. And I think different people have different answers in relation to what that balance should be. The key clauses of this bill are designed to achieve exactly balance. Clause 4 gives NARA the authority to coordinate, implement, monitor, and fast-track reconstruction and resilience projects. Because after a disaster of this scale, no country can afford a maze of disconnected agencies moving at different speeds. But that speed, Mr. President, is not in any way unchecked. Mr. President, clauses 17 to 20 require approved programs and plans, performance indicators, monitoring systems, and a public register of reconstruction and resilience projects. Absolutely. In other words, NARA is empowered to move quickly, but it must move according to approved plans, measurable standards, and information that the public can inspect. The step-in powers are another example of this balance, and it's one that we have a lot of conversations about. Clauses 21 to 24 allow NARA to intervene where approvals are delayed or where an approving entity fails to act within the required timeline. That is the speed mechanism. But the accountability mechanism is also built into the same process. NARA must notify the approving entity, obtain independent expert advice, satisfy itself that the relevant requirements have been met or exceeded before even applying to the minister for a step-in order. The minister must then also be satisfied before issuing a step-in order. So this is not arbitrary power, quite the contrary. The provisions that grant NARA the speed to act are structured, lawful tools to prevent paralysis. Technical review, written reasons, ministerial responsibility, and public accountability are all preserved in this bill. Some people speak as though accountability and effectiveness are enemies. They're not. Properly designed, accountability is what makes speed credible. And speed is what makes accountability meaningful in a crisis. So the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority strikes the right balance in our view. And that's what I want my young people to think about when they're thinking about this bill. And you're going to be confronted with things when you become leaders. And I know you want to be leaders in this country. And that's why you're here tonight. But that's what you're going to have to balance. And there's not going to be a right answer. But you have to think, okay, I want to be fast, but I also want to be accountable to my people. What's the right level of layer? Someone may say it needs 6 layers. Someone may say it needs 10. You have to satisfy yourself that you have achieved speed and accountability. In my opening, Mr. President, I spoke to the international experience and how some of them got it right. But we also, again, Mr. President, have our own case study right here at home, Mr. President. And it is important that we know what the last administration did when they were facing extreme devastation. Our former Prime Minister, the Most Honorable P.J. Patterson, after Hurricane Ivan, established the Office of National Reconstruction, ONR. It was established as a special unit to coordinate relief and reconstruction rather than relying on the ordinary machinery of government. Speed was his focus. The Patterson administration did not prepare an act of parliament with clear procedures to establish, like we have done.
Just do it.
That administration understood, and they chose speed. We have decided to choose speed, but add other layers of accountability. And there's a lot more I can say on ONR, but I won't go there. But I'm going to go into some of the questions, and I saw a WhatsApp notice that was mobilizing elements of our society to attend today's debate. I'd actually expected a lot more of them today. And it's a good thing to have people here. And it had 4 items in it, that ad. And I'll cover some of those 4, plus I'm going to add some, because remember, I was listening to everybody, and some of the issues kind of collapsed together. So I'm going to go through them. In that ad, they asked, who controls the spending? That's what they wanted to hear from the debate today. Who is controlling the spending?
That's right.
And it's really simple. Spending remains within the public finance framework. Parliament approves the national budget. Parliament holds the purse. I can't spend anything that's not in the big yellow book. That remains the same. Jamaica's constitution, the supreme law of the land, is clear and cannot be superseded. Nothing gets spent without an allocation from Parliament. Next, Cabinet approves the Reconstruction and Resilience projects. The Minister's responsibility for NARA provides policy oversight. The CEO is accountable for execution. The accounts of NARA's activities must be kept. The accounts must be audited by an external auditor, not appointed by the management of the entity. The Auditor General is explicitly invited to conduct audits of NARA. And finally, reports must come to Parliament. The answer to the question of control, if you wish to call it that, starts with the public approved by Parliament. Spending is controlled by law, and that cascades into cabinet approval, ministerial oversight, financial rules, audit requirements, both internal and external audits, and strong parliamentary scrutiny. The other question I saw was, what safeguards ensure transparency? How will citizens access information? Valid question. So, if we think about it, Mr. President, these safeguards are clear and very important in the Act. There will be a public electronic register of approved reconstruction and resilience projects. So that's a public electronic register. It's going to be online. There will be reporting requirements. There will be audited financial statements. There will be parliamentary accountability. There will be performance indicators. There will be oversight from the minister. There will be an independent public oversight. There will be independent public oversight through JAMROC, modeled on the EPOC approach that helped Jamaica maintain credibility during our economic reform program. Mr. President, this is not my rhetoric. These are the safeguards laid out in the very bill that we are debating. Clause 20, which provides for a register of approved reconstruction and resilience projects to be kept and periodically updated. And I need to quote 22, so clause 2. The register shall be made available electronically for public inspection. It's in there. Clause 10 requires NARA to furnish the minister with reports, returns, accounts, and other information on its activities. And Clause 11 requires annual reports and audited financial statements to be submitted to the minister and laid in both houses of Parliament. Clause 9 requires proper accounts and annual audits and expressly allows the Auditor General to examine NARA's accounts and records. JAMRAC's public oversight and routine reporting will bring another dimension of transparency. With all that said, Mr. President, I have to point out that Reconstruction is a national project, and we do not see Reconstruction as some private project of the government. It is not, Mr. President, and that's why every project needs to be known to all of Jamaica. The administration at every step of the way has sought to engage the public and all parts of society. 20 amendments were taken in the other place. And the reason those amendments were taken was because we were listening. I can tell you, I listened to the whole debate. I took my own notes, others took their notes. And there were things that were said that you said, yes, actually, you're very right on that one. And amendments were taken. Where we saw misunderstanding and misconceptions, we have also responded in good faith with accurate information. We've been trying to put out information. Our objective is, and always has been, to make oversight of NARA and its activities public and independent on those foundations, and on those foundations credible. The people of Jamaica must be able to see what is being done, where it is being done, who is responsible, what it costs, and whether it is being delivered on time. I'm going to deviate to another question. Why is there no purpose in the Act? I've seen that from civil society, I've seen it here, and as you heard earlier, that's not novel. I think Senator Fitz-Hendley would have noted that, but let me give you some bills, because I think Jamaica needs to understand that it's not unusual. There is the Offences Against the Person Act, originally from 1864. It proceeds directly into provisions on homicide, murder, assaults, etc., without a separate objects or purpose clause. It starts with this act may be cited as the Offences Against the Person Act. There's also the Larceny Act, which does similarly. The Evidence Act, with its roots in 19th century law, does similarly. If we look to closer laws, Registration of Titles Amendment Act 2020, similar. Wildlife Protection Amendment Act of 2025, short title, this act may be cited as the Wildlife Protection Amendment Act 2025 and shall be read and construed as one with the Wildlife Protection Act. And it focuses on specific amendments. And then you also have some other acts. I had asked the legal team to send through examples of different acts where you have the purpose that is missing. And so that's not unique. Some of the concerns, Mr. President, have been raised have been really about challenging executive power. You felt that as a subtext of a lot of the arguments. But I'd like to remind all of Jamaica that executive power, like every other power in the Constitution, is legitimate authority granted by the Constitution. What we see in law is a manifesto of that original, or manifestation of that original authority. Law enforcement, administrative action, all of that flows from executive power. And cabinet is the custodian of the executive authority. The cabinet is enshrined in our Constitution, and it is in fact the principal instrument of policy, read section 69, and is responsible for the control of the direction of government. Cabinet is not some nebulous gathering. The cabinet is the highest level of leadership in government. The buck stops at cabinet. The accountability that cabinet allows is unparalleled. It is therefore good that so much of NARA's activities are approved by this body called cabinet, as this is precisely what would be required for a crisis of this magnitude. The other question that has come up in different ways is the lack of a sunset clause. And guess what? I had a similar question. And I had to go to the legal team. Why we don't just write that it ends in 5 years' time? Right. Because that's what the intent is. And the Prime Minister has said he sees this as a 5-year project. And I kept saying, so why don't we just write it into the bill? And they were able to explain to me that the bill contains a dissolution framework in Part 4. Clause 29 provides for dissolution of the authority. Clauses 30 to 33 provide for savings of agreements, transfer of money, devolution of assets and liabilities, and transfer of official records. Clause 35 states that the Act continues in force only until the day after the day of dissolution. So, before the Act can cease to be in force, NARA has to be wound up. NARA is going to have assets, so it has to be wound up. The transitional arrangements in Part 4 achieve that. Part 4 gives effect to the winding up of the authority. And they've taken a lot of time explaining to me that if we had included 4 or 5 year period, for example, at the end of the period, the authority would cease to exist on that exact date. And that would not facilitate the transition that winding up of the authority provides under Part 4. I heard a lovely question, and I note that Senator Professor Morris isn't here. He had brought up persons with disabilities, and it's one that I always agree with him on. It's a passion of mine, persons with disabilities or special needs. And in the education rebuild that we're doing, we're actually building in that element. So we're building ramps, chairlifts, et al. And I think it's important that we do have that conversation around how we better incorporate. And I know Senator Sinclair has noted that in the Disabilities Act, it is a requirement for commercial buildings to have these accommodations in place. And so that will be done. And I know from the schools, we are actually doing so right now. There was a question about land tenure, which is a very good one. And I think when you talk to a lot of people in Westmoreland, that question comes up a lot, and especially right after the hurricane. We'll be approaching, and I'm going to quote from the Prime Minister. This is what he said. We will approach the problem in Westmoreland with the necessary sensitivity and passion to ensure that every citizen of Jamaica, thank you, has a fair chance, a fair opportunity to get access to land. That was what our Prime Minister said. I'm going to send it to you. The objective of the government is to give, this is another quote, the objective of the government is to give you ownership of land that is secure, land that can be lived on in a sustainable way, and land that forms part of the planned area of the government. And he was speaking in relation to the hurricane. So the Prime Minister has made a commitment. And one of the things about us with commitments is that we have a track record of carrying out our commitments. You saw it in the lovely achievements booklet. Yes. So after all, when it comes to land titles, the Andrew Holness-led administration has delivered. The ministry, led by the Prime Minister, has advanced land tenure security through the issuance of more than 23,400 land titles under the National Land Titling Program, with more than half of them issued between 2021 and 2025 under the new systematic land titling system. So when the Prime Minister says this is a priority in Westmoreland, for example, it is already a priority of this government, and we're going to extend the work that we're doing there. I won't go into the disclosures because I know that was dealt with before. There was a question about PIMS, and I'll get to that a little bit later. Just going back through the questions and just picking up the main ones, Mr. President. All right, there was one that I got yesterday, and everybody is sending in their comments, which is a good thing. And I think the umbrella group of churches sent in theirs. And they were asking what assurance can be given that affected communities will still have meaningful access to due process, environmental protection, and judicial review. NARA acts on legal processes. Clause 17.4 requires NARA in developing and monitoring projects, programs, and plans to hold consultations with persons affected or likely to be affected by a project, and our team has said that multiple times. Clause 18.1a requires programs to be developed in consultation with relevant persons. And Clause 19.1a requires plans to be prepared in consultation with relevant persons. That is consultation. Obviously, that's consultation. And so it is in the bill. On environmental protection, Clause 19.3 requires project development to prioritize climate and disaster resilience. Vulnerable areas and solutions informed by wind, rainfall, groundwater flow, surface water flow, and natural hazard impacts. So the environment is expressly discussed in the bill. Mr. President, judicial review is guaranteed under the Constitution. This bill or any other ordinary piece of legislation passed by the Parliament can never supersede the protections in the Constitution. So nothing in this bill expressly removes the supervisory jurisdiction of the courts. Nothing in this bill could. Why fast-track this authority? Why are we fast-tracking it? Why are we moving so quickly? Because delay means a child remains out of a proper classroom. Delay means a farmer cannot get produce to market. Delay means a family remains in unsafe housing. Delay means a community remains cut off when heavy rains come. Delay means workers lose opportunities. Delays ultimately means Jamaica pays more for the same project later. Earlier I spoke to that balance of effectiveness and efficiency. That balance applies here as well. No one in this debate has said, let's delay NARA on its work. No one has put it that way, Mr. President. Instead, what you've heard is, we need to do a joint select, or maybe we should add this additional layer. But doing so does have implicit trade-offs. What the government does or does not do has consequences. And I'm going to just speak quickly. There are so many points that had been raised. Some have already been answered. There was a question about Clause 7, and I think that was from you, Senator Scott Motley, on whether or not that committee meant the Jamrock, but it could be any committee. It could be a committee that's looking at how we do more for persons with disability and so on. You also raised the issue of the fence and Nago Head and how NARA would treat with it. I just want to note that when you made your statement, I asked the PS to send over the file of all of the correspondence. I know nobody spoke about the letter that I wrote to the municipality begging them to do the approval and that they've never responded to me. That's a part of here. I have all of the correspondence here. And there is also, and there is one piece, the issue in terms of land title, it's owned by NLA, the National Land Agency. And there was a church on the property, and that was agreed a year ago. But I get the approval now. So I'm putting that on the table, and I'd love for you to look. I'd love for you to look at it. I don't speak out of turn ever. So I want you to look. And there's another piece of documentation that I have here that I've not gone into. And I think when you both look at it, you're going to be very amazed that no one has said that part to you. But I don't get political here. All right, so the next one was in relation to auditors. And I know that Senator Tomlinson had raised some issues, and he had said that he had an issue with the auditor being chosen by the cabinet secretary, who already reports to the Prime Minister. But if you think about it, think about NHT, for example. The board of NHT appoints the auditor. Who appoints the board? The minister. So that argument really doesn't follow. It doesn't follow. If you look at PIMS, I'll tell you my experience with PIMS has shown that and yours too. I am in PIMC. And so I've seen projects delayed for years that have so much impact in our country. But, Mr. President, as my time is running out, I don't even know how much time I have. Prime Minister, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness's 2026 budget presentation was very clear about the development and reconstruction agenda. The government he leads is not talking about a patchwork of projects. We have outlined and programmed the rebuilding of Black River better and more resilient than what existed before. We're talking about the Hopewell and Lucy bypass and the Lucy Harbour development. Hanover will become a world-class town. Plans are underway for Montego Bay's revitalization. Falmouth as a model for climate-resilient coastal communities. The North-South Highway extension, Port Antonio reimagined, the St. Thomas Port and the Port of Kingston as the region's premier logistics hub. Provisions have been made for a new Kingston Public Hospital to be built to modern international standards with resilience, continuity of care, and disaster readiness embedded at its core. We're even talking about Vernon Field Light. We know what's the problem with having both of our international airports on the coast. We'll build roads that ensure that communities aren't isolated when disasters strike. New housing across St. Catherine, Trelawney, Manchester, Clarendon, Westmoreland, St. Thomas, St. Mary, all over the country. Mr. President, that's the scale of the ambition. That is why normal project by project, agency by agency, form by form approach will not be enough. And you asked about PIMC, even in my example with Nago Head. We could have just met. That issue of convening where we all meet really quickly, that's really what I think the lesson is. And that's what NARA provides, where we can all just sit together. If there's an issue with ownership, we solve it quickly. If there's an issue with something else, the municipality may want the land too. We sit and we talk about it. But it is important that we move forward. But equally, Mr. President, what is the value of moving fast if the public cannot see what is happening? What's the value of execution if it's not transparent? What's the value of delivery if it does not command public confidence? The answer is that it's not about speed alone. And the answer is that it's not about process alone either. The answer is disciplined speed, urgent delivery with clear safeguards, execution with audits, and flexibility with public reporting. The answer, Mr. President, is really what we have put in this bill. Mr. President, earlier this week, I was in Westmoreland again, and I felt like I hadn't been there in a while because it had been some weeks. I have to go there periodically where we've had the damage because I have so many schools in the area that are damaged, and I get to see the lay of the land. I'm there a lot, and I get heartbroken every time I go and I see what has happened, and especially for me, especially seeing the churches that are such an important part of our communities, seeing them in the state that they are. There was a book that came out last year that had beautiful images of the churches across Jamaica, and it's been heartbreaking to go and see the devastation to them. And then you see the schools, and you see what my teachers are living in and working in. I had a teacher, and this week was Teachers' Day, and I want to salute all our teachers in this country. I had a teacher say to me when I asked her, how are things? She said, I lost everything, and I'm just catching somewhere. That was hard for her to say to me, but that was her reality. And her school is damaged, it's leaking, there are problems there. So at home, she's catching somewhere. At school, she's in not the best of conditions. It's those people, Mr. President, that we have to figure out what's that right balance between speed and accountability. And Mr. President, I believe that NARA provides that balance. And so as I bring this debate to a close, I invite my colleagues to ensure its expedited approval through all its remaining stages. And Mr. President, I ask that the bill be read a second time.
That was a paid broadcast of Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon's contribution to the NARA debate in the Senate on Friday, May 8, 2026.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer, and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10, or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales, for a better choice in the electrical business.
Thank you so very much for sticking and staying with us. And that's all we have time for in today's episode of the program. Thanks to our super producer Dana Davey. Thanks to our technical operator Andrew Glenn Anderson. Though just as said, folks, that's his name, Andrew and Glenn together. Thanks to all the hard-working members of the news and production team. I'm Tyron Reed saying good afternoon.
The Philharmonic Orchestra of Jamaica presents Encore, a harmonic reawakening, captivating music from the classical masters, movies, and our homeland. Saturday, May 16 and Sunday, May 17 at the Little Theatre. Conductor Franklin E. Halliburton. Guest soloist Sashika Brown. Tickets $5,000 pre-sold, $6,000 at the gate. Reserved box seats $7,500. Tickets